We are getting really close to the finale of Dragonflight, yet the final boss of the expansion is still unclear. I mean, let's be real, not all that much has happened this entire year. However, now at least we have some hints, some data mine documents, next expansion scenarios, and a few other things that we can extrapolate from. While Iridikron is obviously being set up as the main villain, he may not in fact be the final boss of this expansion. Not only do we have hints of a potential old god fight, but we could even be fighting our own side as well as the Titans as soon as 10.3. So let's go over everything we know and who could be the final boss of Dragonflight. If you're looking to dive into a crazy adventure, check out World of Warships, this video sponsor, and you can even get a huge 25 euros worth starter pack with my link in the description. World of Warships is free to play with team-based sea battles, 500 plus historical ships, and 11 different nations. All the ships are based on historical documents and actual blueprints from the 20th century, and you can customize these ships and take them into battles across beautiful maps, living landscapes with weather changes, and stunning graphics. So it's never been a better time to start. If you use my link below, all new players that start now will get an amazing pack worth 25 euros. So 500 doubloons, 7 days premium, 2 million credits, a tier 4 ship, and a 6 skilled points commander. So become a ship commander today. So it's been nearly a year since Dragonflight came out, and it started as a super mysterious expansion, quite akin to Mists of Pandaria, where we're just going in to explore, no big bad in sight, no massive villain. Sure, most of us speculated it's going to be Galakrond, but everything was just thrown out of nowhere, so realistically, at the time of the announcement and the release, we had absolutely zero idea who could be the final boss and what will even happen in this expansion. And interestingly enough, I mean, not all that much has actually changed as we're getting really close to 10.2. However, the main difference is we have some theories that are actually supported, some things have happened, some things have moved, and at the moment we are in the territory where we could realistically make a guess that isn't just complete wishful thinking. Keep in mind, when Dragonflight came out, we didn't even know who Iridikron was. We only learned that after we defeated Razaget, as he was a brand new character, and this Iridikron guy has positioned himself ever since as the main bad guy of the expansion. But I gotta say, Blizzard did a really good job of not making this just a Saturday morning cartoon where we know exactly who the bad guy is and he's just constantly taunting us, although Iridikron is kind of taunting us. Now, I did say that the final boss of Dragonflight is not going to be Iridikron, and I still think that is going to be the case, but there is a little bit more nuance to it. I think it is definitely possible we could fight him at the end, but he's not really the Deathwing type or the Lich King type. I mean, this guy is more of a person to push in a small crack in the dam so that the massive water can go in, aka the real threat can come in, and right now we have a few scenarios on how Dragonflight is going to end. Let us start first with the most obvious, and that is Fyrakk, who is almost certainly going to be a boss, but I don't think this is going to be a final boss. I gotta say, the way this guy is being set up is like a cliché horror film where you know exactly who's gonna be the first person to die. Viranot obviously has some deeper storyline. Iridikron is wise, calm, collected, dangerous, in on some crazy plan, while Fyrakk is just let's burn everyone down. So realistically, he just seems like the first of the Incarnates to die, and he really just seems mainly as a filler boss. In 10.1, he got a ton of Shannon Flame, empowered himself, and now in 10.2, he was confirmed to be attacking the World Tree Amir Drasil that has been planted in the Emerald Dream, so I think it is highly realistic to say that he's going to be the next boss and not really the final boss of the expansion, and that he's just going to be a filler type thing. Fyrakk really doesn't seem like a long-term play. However, on the other hand, we do have some serious long-term plays here. As you're all familiar by now, we had literally seen Xal'atath in that portal, which confirmed to us that Iridikron is indeed working with her, and this is some type of an elaborate void plan going on. Xal'atath is like the definition of the long con. I mean, keep in mind, she was in our blade, we helped her, we actually played with her, and she whispered to us directly non-stop. Then we helped free her in another expansion, and now she's coming back to possibly undo the Titan Order. Something is 100% going on with the Void, Xal'atath, Queen Ashara, but my honest thoughts are that this is a setup for the next expansion, not the final Dragonflight content. I don't know how many of you remember this interview, which is super relevant right now from around the time of Dragonflight release, but they said that they had changed their philosophy of World of Warcraft expansions, and that expansions are going to be more like major patches as opposed to stories in themselves. They said they wrote themselves into holes all the time as they build all these systems and storyline where we fight this one big bad guy, then we defeat him, and something completely unrelated happens next. So because of this, they said that the expansions will come out more often and that they will bleed into one another, and I'm pretty sure that Zelda's scenario is what they meant. I mean, obviously, half of the storyline is being built up in Dragonflight, but it will most likely continue in the next one. To give credit to Blizzard, they really haven't been all just talk. I mean, this entire time, all of you guys have definitely noticed that they really started pushing patches, started pushing content, which is unlike anything they had ever really done in the past, so there's definitely been some internal changes at Blizzard. So if Xal'atath is not going to be the bad guy, who could realistically be the final boss of Dragonflight? Other than Iridikron at the moment, we have two likely scenarios I could see coming, either Galakrond or something involving the Titans, and let us dissect this further. So with Galakrond, it is really confusing. I mean, Galakrond was what came to everyone's mind as the end boss when Dragonflight was first announced, when it was first leaked, and we just went back in time where we saw that Iridikron used an ancient dragon soul to get the essence of Galakrond and to bring his hunger back into our timeline. This could no doubt be a setup for the final boss fight. At the moment, it seems like 10.3 is possibly going to be the end patch of this expansion. 10.2 is going to be about the Emerald Dream and the World Tree, and 10.3 is going to be about the Dragon Soul that Iridikron has. Personally, I could see two scenarios. Either he really reses Galakrond and brings him into a boss fight, which I gotta say would actually be an exciting fight as Galakrond is interesting and insanely big, or he's going to use this essence to corrupt someone else or to enhance someone else. In the case of corrupting, he could use it to turn a dragon like Alexstrasza into new Galakrond, where we would have to fight to save her, or another interesting theory is that this could be used to bring back Yogg-Saron. Remember how we learned Yogg-Saron created Galakrond? The essence Iridikron took is essentially the essence of Yogg-Saron. Yogg-Saron is said to still be active around Northrend but super weakened, so this could just be the little boost he needs to get back on his feet or whatever else the old gods have. I also think Yogg-Saron is a long-term play, but at the moment we have all sorts of old god hints and we could potentially see all of them freed. Resing Yogg-Saron with this could be a good way to really hype up the next expansion and to get a little bit of a sneak peek into what is coming. So yeah, the old gods are making free, we get into a fight with one of them, and then we start with the next expansion as it builds off all that stuff. Now the second scenario could even be more interesting, and that is the switching side scenario. You know that the new book soon will tell us what exactly happened between Alexstrasza and Viranaut, and with the new cinematic it really seems like that after all these years Alexstrasza may be becoming disillusioned with her masters, with her creators. Iridikron told us that he is going to do something possibly involving the World Soul soon to draw in the Titans. Then we will all see that the Titans couldn't care less about us or life in general, and that all they really want is the World Soul of Azeroth. That may prove to actually be true, and if the Titan Pantheon comes to Azeroth, we might be forced to fight them together with Alexstrasza as she learns that they're really just tyrants. This could involve Tyr. All of you know that the Tyr storyline is like the secondary main questline of Dragonflight. It started right off with the expansion, and it is even continuing soon as we have data mined some encrypted cinematics. This betrayal that we learn that Alexstrasza will do against Tyr may be her rebelling against the Titan Order. This could then turn Tyr into a final boss, which would be a completely unexpected turn of events. I mean, it could be like an Asgrim scenario from Mists where the orc knew that the Garrosh was bad, but his loyalty forced him to defend him, and then we had to fight this guy. A similar thing could happen to Tyr, and therefore he could actually be the final boss of Dragonflight, or Tyr could realistically also rebel and some sort of a Titan general or even the Titans themselves could end up being the final boss. After all, we learned that the Titan Forged are not really mindless minions. I mean, they already rebelled against their order in the past. Tyr realistically has a stronger connection with humans, dwarves, gnomes, and the aspects than he ever had with the Titans, although who knows, I mean, these are the actual Titans, they might have some sort of a mechanism to bring everyone back to order, like some sort of a back switch at the back of their heads. Ultimately though, I do think we will actually finally see something happening with the World Soul of Azeroth after all this time of speculation. Almost certainly Iridikron is coming for her, and the Titans could possibly come for her as well. There have been so many hints of Azeroth actually awakening, and even the old gods continuing their corruption. So, well, I don't think the World Soul of Azeroth is going to be the final boss of Dragonflight. She could actually be involved in this final battle, and we may finally learn who Azeroth really is. Thank Thank you for watching. Check out what a new spec could be for every playable class by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on real world mythology behind the Wild Hunt. See you next time.